Hi, I'm Janice and welcome to my kitchen. Today we're going to be making sauerkraut, which is basically cabbage that's been fermented. In order to do so, you only need two ingredients, cabbage and the salt. However, for today's recipe, we're going to include 2/3 cups of carrots, 1 tablespoon of caraway seeds, and a tablespoon of freshly grated ginger. You might want to know, for grating your ginger, it's always good to freeze the root in the freezer to make it much easier to grate, and will also help preserve the ginger as well. So to get started, we start by removing the outer leaves of the cabbage, which will be used for later use, so please don't discard them. We will be using them later on. So you just peel back the outer leaves. The next thing to do is, as you'll notice on the cabbage, there's obviously quite a stump in the inside. So we want to quarter the cabbage, and on a diagonal, remove the interior core of the cabbage. At this point, all we simply want to do is start grating the cabbage up here. Now this process can be done on the food processor as well as by hand. You just want to get evenly chopped pieces. Sauerkraut, by the way, makes for a very tasty side dish. Can be included in your salads or in sandwiches even. And there's very high nutrients. It's always nice to have in the fridge. So if you don't have fresh vegetables on hand, you know that you're getting some of those micronutrients into your diet by eating the sauerkraut. So basically, you will start shredding the cabbage as so, placing it into a large bowl, and you keep going until you have all of your cabbage finely grated. Once it's all grated and in the bowl, you combine all your ingredients, your carrots, the caraway seeds, the sea salt. So again, it was 1 tablespoon of sea salt to a medium-sized cabbage, tablespoon of fresh ginger. If you don't particularly like ginger, you do not have to include it. Same with the caraway seeds. So once that's all been combined, you start mixing cabbage by hand. And yes, this is all done by hand. And what you're doing is you're simply massaging the cabbage in order to release the juices, and it will soften up the vegetables. Now this has to be done for pretty much 10 minutes. You might want to get in a position where, I'm short, so you may want to lower the bowl, but for 10 minutes you're going to be doing this. And you already notice it's getting glossy. Those are the juices. The salt activates and it releases the juices from the cabbage. And again, this would be the full cabbage that would be in there. So after 10 minutes, you're going to be left with cabbage that looks like this. And if I pull back the cabbage, you can see the juices that have formed. And you can also notice the color. The carrots have obviously colored the juices as well. So at this point, you're ready to place it into a mason jar. And what I've done, I don't have a wide mouth mason jar, so I've purchased this little funnel that any hardware store sells them. And you're going to start spooning the cabbage into the jar. You want to fill it up till you're about, approximately 2 inches from the top. And you're also going to need, I'm just going to get a wooden spoon. You're going to need something that's going to compact the cabbage as it goes down, because what you're trying to do is get all the juices to come to the surface. So once I have all my cabbage into my jar, and if it looks like you have too much cabbage for the container, just leave it aside. And you can have it for lunch or save it for later. But basically you want to leave about 2 inches to the top, but you want to include all those juices in there. So we'll see if we have room for the rest of this cabbage or not. I'm just using the end of a wooden spoon to compact this. Anything that you have that could work. Oh, and you can see already that I can definitely fit the rest of that cabbage in there. and just keep packing it down, and you're trying to get the juices to come to the surface and cover the cabbage. So just keep pounding away. And then slowly they are coming up to cover all the cabbage. You can see how they've come to the surface. And then those discarded leaves that we had from before, we're going to use to cover the cabbage and to ensure that it's nice and airtight in there. So just push down. You can get rid of some of the hard parts of the cabbage. Push down. And there you have it. Now we get the lid for the container. You seal it nice and tight. And there you have your cabbage that is now going to ferment. So what you do is you leave this closed on a counter in a warm spot in the house for 3 days. That will allow the fermentation to take place, after which you'll put it in the fridge, and you'll notice the flavors increase as the days go by and as you consume it. So there you go, there's your sauerkraut. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you have a good day.